but I feel like people have lost the ability to just communicate because they let their feelings, they let their opinions, they find their identity in how they feel.
Micah Vargas, Micah 6'8" Vargas on the podcast. He's got the shades on. He's got the Raiders hat on. Straight out of Compton. What is up, bro? How you doing?
Though. I was born on Compton Street.
You were born in Compton?
Born on Compton Street.
Oh, what is that? What city is that?
Bellflower.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang, so you've been from Bellflower, bro. You weren't lying.
Born and raised, yeah, man.
Yeah, but you're
Bellflower, North Long Beach. Now I'm in Irvine, bro.
As I told him over text. Oh, he's in Irvine now. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say now I'm one of those rich white people that live there, but it's mostly Asians. So
yeah, you might convert races.
What's going on?
Let's talk about why you're in Irvine.
Why in Irvine? Getting married soon, and so me and my fiance.
Fiance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She works in Irvine, so she works about like 10 minutes from where we're about to live. I just like the neighborhood. I feel like it's safe. It's a good community. Everything's accessible right there. So
yeah, definitely seems like a good community.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
The stereotypes that it's all safe and protected.
Yeah, it's like
everyone's rich.
The lowest crime in like the U.S. or something like that. Like one of the lowest crime cities.
Yeah. Speaking of the U.S., we're approaching our coronaversary, as I like to call it.
It's crazy.
I thought of that term last night. I don't know if it's already been coined or taken, but
Coronaversary. No, I dig it. I haven't heard it yet.
I'm claiming it myself. Right. Coronaversary.
Damn it, I'll give it to you.
All right.
Yeah, coronaversary this week.
Yeah.
1 year of the 2-week slow the spread.
Bruh. Not so much 2 weeks, more like a year, and we're still going. We're still going with
strong,
with this whack lockdown rules. But yeah, I was telling Anthony earlier. Things are getting slowly but surely, but not really back to normal. Mm-hmm. It's like it's just continuing. But I wanted to talk to you about what is the number one positive thing that you got at. I love that you're doing this whole thing with the glasses.
Look at the vibe, bro. You got this light in here.
It is a vibe. Not gonna lie. What is the number one positive and the number one negative thing that you feel like came out of the coronavirus season this last year?
Number one positive. I was just talking to this pastor at my church, and something that I feel like it is definitely a season and situation that it's been pretty hard to find positives this time. I've definitely, I don't know, I don't think of myself as like a cynical person, but I'm a realist. And so it's just like, what positive is kind of coming out of this and everything like that. But what I was talking to this pastor is definitely within the church community and within just within churches and then within the smaller communities within churches is that I feel like it's definitely been a pruning season for the church in terms of it's really showing people's true colors. It's really showing people's like depth of faith.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really drawing people out to really who their real friends are, how dedicated they are to their ministries, their passions, and because the people that continue fellowshipping with their friends, the people that make an intentional decision to spend time with the ones that they love, and the people that have stayed dedicated to ministry, showing up to church on Sundays is, in terms of the broad eternal aspect of our faith and everything like that, I don't think that God's like, you need to show up to church on Sundays and that's really how you show your love to me. But it's a small step of faith of just being like, hey, you know what? I'm going to, get out of this comfortable habit I was in, for the first few months of the pandemic of sitting at home, watching stuff on TV. It's like, I could just kind of change the church channel whenever I wanted. And so for the people that decide to show back up once the doors opened and once, the church was welcoming them back in, I think that it showed kind of who was really dedicated to this kind of life and who was kind of just there because mark that check off their book and everything like that.
Right. And for me just to kind of talk about personal stories and to play off what you just said,
Yeah.
that's so true of like, seeing who's faithful, whether that be going to church, whether that be your friends, all that sort of stuff, because there was a season where I was like isolating and I was kind of falling back into that other category where it's like I wasn't faithful to the people around me. I wasn't faithful to my church that I was going to. And then I kind of had a wake up realization moment, and you kind of know this. I've talked to you about it, and I've had to apologize to those people, and I kind of had to come back into those relationships. But I was able to see through people either sending text messages, trying to reach out and call me, who really cares for me, who really cares about me, because they would continuously reach out, even though I was ghosting them literally and not responding to them. And yeah, that's so real. So that was kind of like a positive, more like a positive. What do you think is like the biggest negative that has happened through this whole crazy season?
Biggest negative.
Yeah.
Now, like I said before, those things are kind of easy to think about. It's, harder to find the light in the darkness than it is to find how many corners are dark in the room and everything like that,
Powerful.
And so I think that one of the biggest, at least that I've seen in my personal life and observing the lives of friends and family and the community around me, is really just the division that's come, whether it's within this country of America, whether it's citizens from other nations, or whether it's, small groups of friends that you may have, or even bigger communities like your church or your workplace or different things like that. I think that even, before March of last year, there was a lot of just political divide, social justice divide, like all this stuff that's been going on for years in this country and in this fallen world that we're living in. But I think that the coronavirus pandemic, shutdown, lockdown, and everything made people, I don't know, really to where, sure, you got to see who your real friends were, but then you also got to see who was so quick to cut you out depending on your different opinions on everything that was going on. And even in the midst of this whole pandemic, we were still at the height of all the political divide that was going on in the country. I mean, 6 months into the pandemic, we had an election that was like a climax of everything that people have been fighting for not just the past 4 years, but past 8 years, past 12 years of just this division that's been going on in our country for so long. And I say our country because obviously I'm living in it, but this isn't anything new that's happening around the world. There's plenty of other countries that are having other problems, and neighbors are fighting one another, and friends are leaving one another, and all this other stuff. But this is the place that I'm experiencing it and everything like that too. So
yeah, definitely. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's a few people out there, even talking on this podcast, we talk about a little bit where like there's conspiracies behind the coronavirus and all this other stuff. Do you feel like there are larger powers, government, whatever it is, working behind the scenes with this whole thing, and like there's this other kind of agenda that goes with it?
I mean, it's hard to say what I think, what my opinions are versus what we actually know.
I want to hear your opinions. I love hearing opinions. I don't like hearing facts because I could just Google. I can't really Google the facts because you never know what facts are nowadays. But I love to hear opinions.
Well, my opinions are, it kind of starts back. There's like this bigger picture of where I get my opinions from in life right now, to where it's not just kind of my up in my face experiences that have formed a lot of my opinions. It's I've luckily been blessed with being able to travel the world to a few different places. Most amazing place that I've been able to go to so far is Israel.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that yesterday.
It's amazing. Went there twice. I went with this team, and we went and renovated bomb shelters up in northern Israel, just to help some communities out there that had struggled with the conflicts of the Middle East and everything like that, and they're under a constant threat for their lives, for their faith. And so we went up there and we renovated some bomb shelters, but I think we were there for 11 days, and we spent about 7 of the days renovating these bomb shelters, and then the other 4 touring We got to see, the Dead Sea. We got to go swim in the Mediterranean. We got to go to Jerusalem, all these other like really cool biblically historical places.
Yeah.
Some of the first like sanctuaries for like Jewish people back in the day. It was really holy places that we were able to like see and experience and go to. Got to walk the same streets that Jesus did and all this other stuff. And so when I went there, I feel like I learned a lot really about this faith that I had at the time lived in for up to 18 years of my life.
Yeah.
Because I went there when I was first 18, and I went there when I was 17 to 18, and then when I was 19 again.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I got to learn about this faith that I had been hearing about, these Bible stories that a lot of the time just seemed like stories to me.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
just kind of folklore. It was like mystical, like reading Lord of the Rings, or what's the C.S. Lewis books?
Chronicles of Narnia?
Yeah, Chronicles. Yeah, I have the whole set on my shelf at home, and I can't even think. Yeah. The Chronicles of Narnia and everything like that. It's like reading these children's books, Harry Potter or something like that, to where it's just like, oh, you don't really believe it until you can kind of see it. It's just something that you kind of have faith in, but until you're there, you're like, wow, this, I got to, go on a boat in the Sea of Galilee. I got to like swim in the Dead Sea and everything like that. And so, once I went there, we got to go to Jerusalem, and we saw these places that are going to be the epicenter of what our Bible and our faith calls the end times. In Revelation and everything like that, it's all set in Israel. And I think that a lot of Americans, or just Western Christians in Europe and America, Canada, wherever it may be, we get caught up in our own countries and our own communities, thinking that the world kind of revolves around us and where we live. When biblically, I completely believe that it's true that everything started and everything's going to end in Israel.
Yeah.
So going there and experiencing these places and going and seeing not only the actual physical conflict that there is there between a democratic nation in the Middle East versus a lot of Muslim communist dictatorships that are surrounding in the area and everything like that. There's that physical, obvious conflict that you can see, but there's this huge spiritual divide that's also happening in that country.
Yeah.
Has been happening since King David. And so going there and really seeing where the temple grounds used to be, where the Holy of Holies was, where now we see it covered in Muslim art and covered in mosques with, all of this Muslim Islamic like history that has also taken over the region and everything like that. I got to see what the Jews believe is going to happen in that region, and how it ties in with the Christian faith of what we believe in Revelation. And so really seeing that, it really opened up my perspective and broadened my perspective to see that not everything revolves around America. Not everything revolves around, Christians in California.
Yeah.
And so seeing that, I think that I got to see what these kind of, big powers at hand may be and everything like that. I talked to government leaders there. I talked to, Holocaust survivors. I talked to just Jewish faith leaders in that region and talking to them about what they think is to come. I talked to Christians over in that region that are experiencing this on a daily basis. And so, like I said, kind of trying to tie it back into the actual question that you asked, do I believe that with this coronavirus thing, with whatever political stuff is happening in America, do I think that there's a bigger power at hand? Do I think that there's some big government conspiracy? What other people, might see as conspiracy, I see it as, hey, I kind of got to look behind the curtain. And I got to see a lot of what's actually going on. I feel like there's a lot more to talk about than even just a 30-minute, even an hour, 2-hour podcast that we might, be able to discuss. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question straightforward, there's definitely some stuff going on with whatever you may want to call it. People call it the New World Order. People, the crazy. extremist conspiracy theorists try to say it's like this Illuminati, like all this stuff, QAnon, all these crazy people that are like, there's, I don't know, they're whatever they may be trying to say. But
Yeah.
I think it's definitely undeniable. And the people that do deny it just aren't realists. And they're kind of living in some utopian fantasy that they believe. I think that there's definitely an obvious power play going on.
Right. What would you say is the end goal of this? You call it a power play. What do you think is the end goal of this, or the whole goal of it?
The whole goal is really just for greedy, selfish, prideful people to continue to gain money, gain power, and to just have the common people like you and I just be kind of their subjects. I mean, the Bible talks about it. Atheist historians talk about it. Is that there's nothing. What the Bible says is there's nothing new under the sun. What atheist historians might say is that like history repeats itself. And I don't remember who it was. I don't know, some political figure, maybe Einstein, or I don't know. Somebody was like, if we don't study history, we're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And what I think that a lot of people aren't realizing is that history is repeating itself again. What was her name? The chick from The Mandalorian. She just got canceled or whatever because she made some outlandish, stupid comparison of Nazi Germany versus government censorship in Twitter or something like that. And so she just got canceled from Disney, and she's now off The Mandalorian and everything because she made this comparison. But I think as dramatic as the comparison might have been, there's still something to compare of, government control, the people getting complacent, and then the people becoming subjects of a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
It happened in World War II with Nazi Germany. It's happened in historical empires in the past of the Roman Empire and the Chinese Empire and all this other stuff that's happened. I mean, this isn't just an American thing. I think that the goal is for the greedy people in power just to continue to keep that power. And the American nation is the strongest, most amazing, incredible, technologically and military advanced nation that's ever existed in human history. And I think that it's just happening again. America is the new Rome, and Rome burned. The people got complacent. They were distracted by entertainment and food, and the nation divided amongst itself, and it fell.
Yeah.
And I think that if a great and mighty, powerful nation like Rome could do it, America's no different. And so I think that the people that are trying to make these kinds of things happen, the ones that are in charge, the billionaires, the politicians, the corrupt, evil people that are pulling a lot of the strings behind what's going on in the nation, they just want to keep their power. And, when we think of it biblically, it doesn't surprise me. And people, especially Christians, shouldn't take this by surprise or be like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Like, no. Like, it's nothing crazy. I mean, if they're sinful, fallen people that aren't followers of Jesus, pride, ego, greed are what's going to completely run their lives as much as they might be nice people. You can be a prideful, greedy person and still be a nice person.
Right.
On camera, Bill Gates is a really sweet-looking person. He's just a nice old man that wears glasses and made a computer in his garage. Like, how sweet of him.
Yeah.
But then you see all these strings that he's pulling behind the scenes with coronavirus, and him and Fauci and these other people that are involved with them. And you're like, okay, this guy's just another greedy billionaire, this guy that has a lot of power. There's this study that just came out. He owns the most farmland in America. He's the sole owner of the most farmland in America. What does this guy that created computers have to do with running a vaccine company, who's now the sole proprietor of distributing the vaccines out in America, Moderna? Yeah. What does he have to do with that, owning the most farmland and being one of the most wealthy men in the world?
Yeah.
He just wants power. And I can't blame him. I'm not saying that, this, I don't know. I'm not trying to make it something bigger than it is, but it's just he's a greedy person that doesn't have the Spirit of Jesus living inside of him. So it's just what do you think's going to happen? Yeah. Sin is going to take root in whatever way that it does. And what he's going to continue to want and grow and need is more power. And so if people like that are pulling a lot of the strings, of course there's something else bigger going on. It's not just, about a germ that gives people a respiratory problem, and then we all have to like stay inside. The government and people in power, the billionaires, the elitists, want us to be their subjects. It's simple as that. Again, history's repeating itself again. I don't think there's anything like crazy about the statements that I'm making. Because it's easy to see. We are literally observing it. There's not another time in history that we've been able to watch the steps take place on something that's in our pockets.
Yeah.
We're able to see all this evidence on our phones. As much as, I feel like just really complacent, comfortable people want to deny it because it kind of challenges their life and everything that they believe. They're like, oh,
challenges the way they think too.
Yeah, exactly. It challenges the way that they think because it makes them think outside the box, that maybe there's something else at play. There's something else going on outside of just, their regular jobs that they're working at, stocking groceries at the grocery store and getting paid, and then, going and getting drinks on the weekend or something like that. It's like there's something going on behind the scenes, outside their bubble, outside their circle, and it challenges them. People don't like challenge. People don't like conflict, and so they deny it. And people like me get written off as crazy conspiracy theorists, people that don't have any evidence. I'm like, it's not really my job. I've kind of given up trying to prove this kind of stuff to people, because I'm like, well, if you want to stay comfortable and complacent in your life, go ahead. But I know that I'm going to stay aware of these things that are going on, and I'm going to make sure that the people that I love and care about also are aware of these things. And we can, just like me and you, or sit across the table and having coffee and have a conversation about it.
Right.
And I can try to show you what I've seen, and you can try to ask me questions about it. But I'm not going to go around like trying to convince people anymore of this, because all it does is really create more division. That's not what I'm supposed to do here. That's not my purpose in life, is to create division within people. I'm supposed to show people love, and I'm supposed to show people compassion. I'm supposed to lead them closer to Jesus. And
But don't you hate like how you can't even express how you feel or what you know or what your opinion is? Like, because people, like you said, it creates division. I wouldn't think, knowing you would be the one creating that division. You wouldn't choose a division. If someone believes different than you, you're not gonna be like, I'm cutting you off. So I don't think it would be you, the one that would cut anyone off. So it just sucks that
I used to hate it, but I think that it just became such a norm. I mean, I've lost good friends, people that like I really cared about, I knew for years, because again, I really do not believe that I was the one creating division. The people that know me and love me and actually spend time with me will confirm that as well. But there's these friends, these people that I thought were friends, and then I just tell them a little bit of my opinion. I show them a little bit of what I think. And then immediately I'm this bad, evil. I've been called a misogynist. I've been called a racist. I've been called, other curse words that maybe aren't appropriate for this podcast, just because I told them what I think and based off of my experiences. Yet somehow they're allowed to tell me what they think based on their experiences. And now I'm the bad guy because of it, because it differs from theirs. And so I feel like I used to hate it and used to really bother me, but I feel like I just got more secure in what my purpose is and what my calling is here on earth, what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've just realized that these people are just insecure. They don't really have a backbone. And I'm really not trying to speak ill of them. I just think that they just kind of go wherever the wind takes them, and they let the waves crash over them rather than standing firm in what they believe. They bend to the culture. They bend to different people's opinions. And so they lost their backbone in their faith, in their morals, in their standards for living. And so to them, I'm like, I'm firm in what I believe. I have confidence. I don't even think it's ego or pride. I just have confidence in what I believe, because this is who God's created me to be. And I'm not going to be any different than than who God's called me to be. I know my purpose. I'm confident in that. And if they're not, then they can continue living on their lives however they may please. I'll still live mine. And if we're moving in opposite directions, then all right. But let's start having respect for one another and acknowledge people's different experiences and different opinions on life based on those experiences. There's good friends that I have. I mean, I'm a Mexican, white, Native American mixed kid living here in LA, who's now living a middle-class life, but grew up living in a lower middle class. I've talked to upper-class Black people. I've talked to lower class Black people. I've talked to lower class Mexican. You know, I've talked to people all across the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I've had great conversations with Black people about social injustice that we left the conversation respecting one another. And I've had others where it was just a conversation. We weren't even, talking about each other's opinions. We were just conversing about what was going on. And they left the room basically telling me how much of a piece of crap I am and didn't want to, and blocked me and didn't talk to me after that. And again, these are people that I considered friends. So it's like me and you, we could even have as many different opinions on a subject conversation as we may, but we can still have the conversation about it and leave the table respecting one another.
Right.
But I feel like people have lost the ability to just communicate because they let their feelings, they let their opinions, they find their identity in how they feel. And that's the difference that's where I find a difference between myself, and that's why myself and other people, and that's why I don't get upset about it anymore, is because I'm secure in how I feel. I'm secure in what I think. And so for these people that find their identity in how they feel and what other people tell them they're supposed to be feeling, those are the people that end up just kind of washing away and fading away. And the people like myself are the ones that I end up having actual strong relationships with because they know who they are in Christ, and that's what they base their identity off of, not some other notion of who somebody else tells them they should be or what social media is telling them they should be or how they should think or what they should feel.
Right. That is so dope. Can I get an air horn for Micah one time? He just went off right there for a second, but for real, bro, yeah, I'm so glad that we were able to have conversations, and I have people in my life where I'm able to have conversations that they could think totally different than me, but I love them, and I choose to accept them no matter if they have different viewpoints than me. I feel like we're not too far off on what we believe in our viewpoints.
Definitely.
But yeah,
because I think that our foundation is in the same place. I think that for people like you and I, as much as we may differ, the foundation is still on Christ.
Yeah.
He's still the cornerstone of everything that we believe in.
Yeah.
And our experiences, our perspectives and everything may change in life. It may twist, it may bend, it may stretch as we continue to grow in our faith and as adults and as men. But if our foundation is still the same and we have a solid faith system and we have a solid community around us to keep us grounded in that faith, I think that no matter how our experiences may stretch us in ways different from one another, we'll still be able to connect in that way and still be able to have unity in such a divided world because we know what that foundation is. And we're able to love each other and continue to grow with one another in that unity.
I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Micah. Quick question. How do you keep unity in a divided world? What are some ways that you keep unity in a divided world? Drop your answer in the comment section below this video. But let's get back into this one. That's dope, bro. Next thing I kind of wanted to get into, and you went in right there. That was really, really good. I think people will get a lot out of what you said and have a lot to talk about. Next thing I wanted to get into, which kind of has to do with more of like your personal life and what you've been through, is the Marines, the few. I'm gonna do this. The few, the proud, the Marines.
That sounds like the commercials.
Good. But yeah, tell me about your experience with the Marines and like what you got out of that and what it took out of you and all that stuff.
Oh boy.
The quick experience. Talk about that.
Yeah. That was a long 4 years, but I'll fit it in.
And Mike is telling me a lot of people actually don't know that he was in the Marines. Yeah. That he's with. So here it is. He's just coming out party.
Yeah. Get their rainbow flag instead of the American one right now.
Yeesh.
But yeah, joined the Marines when I was 19, back in 2015. Got out in 2019. I did my 4 years. And yeah, I mean that was a wild ride. Just glad to be out now.
Yeah.
I've been out almost 2 years now. This coming July. That was definitely probably one of the most testing, challenging, just wildest things that I've ever been through. I it'll be hard to top as I continue to get older. Those 4 years.
What's like one story from there that you can feel comfortable sharing that was just like either crazy, like you learned something good from it, or it could just be like some kind of stupid story that will be entertaining for everyone to
all right
to listen to.
All right, I got one. People always get really shocked by this.
Okay.
If there's any Marines listening, you know how not actually hype this story is, but regular little civilians like Nick will probably think this is pretty crazy. So I joined the Marines with a contract to train to be special forces. They're kind of special forces. The equivalent to Army Rangers, I was going to be Marine Recon. That was my goal. I wanted to kind of be the elite, the best of the best, and that was the avenue to get there. So about 5-6 months into the Marines, I started training with this what they called Reconnaissance Training group. And, a lot of what their training had to do with was swimming. They were in the Marines are what they call like a land and amphibious, military group. And so what Recon does is, they go out kind of stealthily at night or whatever, and they try to like board ships that have like terrorists on them, or get onto
some pirate stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they try to like get on enemy beaches, like in the cover of night, or I don't know, different things like that. And so we had a lot of water training to do.
Yeah.
A lot of swimming out in the ocean, and also in pools, in like Olympic sized, like 16-foot deep pools. We had a lot of training. And so we did this thing kind of called drown proofing. You might have seen it in, I don't know, some like military training documentary or something like that. And basically, they tie your hands and feet up and throw you in the deep end of a pool.
Yeah. And
you kind of just have to bounce back up from the bottom of the 16-foot pool.
I saw this on TikTok literally like 2 days ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to go to the bottom of the 16-foot pool and kick yourself all the way to the surface with your hands tied behind your back and your ankles tied together.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and go back down. You just kind of do that for like a half hour.
When you're doing this, you have someone with you in the pool, right? To make sure you don't like die.
Yeah. There's instructors that are, CPR, first aid, all this other, they're military like corpsmen is what they call them. They're docs, they're medics, they're nurses basically. They're right there because emergencies do happen. And so an emergency did happen.
Oh gosh.
I feel like a lot of people when they talk about what are they, what's the worst way to die? And people are like burning, I don't know, falling off like a tall building.
Yeah.
One of the biggest answers that I've ever gotten from people is drowning.
Yeah.
What would you say yours is? What?
I still think it's being set on fire and dying that way, because drowning is just like suffocating.
Yeah. But a lot of people are scared of drowning. I wouldn't say I was like really scared of drowning before, but I mean, it was definitely like a concern of mine to where I was like, oh man, like obviously I don't think anybody wants to drown. Well, I drowned. I
didn't know this.
Yeah. So, they tossed us in the deep end, and, we're in the pool for about like 2 hours or 4 hours. I don't know. Long time in the morning. We get in the pool at like 6 a.m. and we don't get out until, I don't know, 10 or 11. So I guess it's 4 or 5 hours. I'm bad at math. That's why I joined the Marines. But yeah, so we're doing this kind of drown proofing and everything like that. And while you're in training and everything, there's this thing that they call it's called DOR. It's a acronym for drop on request. And so if you DOR, it's basically you quitting. It's you kind of just ringing your bell and you're like, all right, I'm done. I'll just go back to regular military training.
Get classified as a little.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get classified as a guy with a little peepee. But
hold up.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, and so that wasn't something I was down with. I'm not a quitter. I'm not, I'm not somebody that's quick to run from a challenge and everything like that. And this is the whole purpose and the reason that I joined the Marines is I wanted to be special forces. I wanted to be elite. I wanted to be the best of the best. And so I was like, this isn't happening. There's guys that are drowning. There's guys that are choking on water and they quit and they leave and they're like, I can't do this anymore. They kind of just didn't have the mental fortitude to keep going with it.
Yeah.
And to me, I felt like this is the whole reason I was there. I was there to either fight and win, or leave and, go home with, my head down and disgraced and, ashamed and everything like that. And I was like, well, I'm not about to do that. So in the middle of this drown proofing, I am at the bottom of the pool, got my hands tied behind my back and my ankles tied together. And I start kicking back up, and I was like, I'm not going to make it to the top. It's like, I'm out of breath right now. I'm looking at the surface. I have my goggles on and everything. And so I'm looking up, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it back up there. I was like, well, I can quit, and I can just kind of be like, all right, yeah, I'm not going to do this. Yeah. Or I can try to make it up there. But I knew that if I tried to make it up and I was like struggling, they would think that I was like quitting or something like that. They would be like, oh, this guy's just wimping out. Like, we're going to pull him and drop him from the course. So I was like, well, to me, logically at the time, as I'm in the middle of a pool with, my breath running short, I was like, what sounds pretty logical to me is if I go to the bottom and then they have to pull me up, it's going to prove to them that I really want this. That makes sense, right? Like, if I sacrifice myself to do it, it proves how much I want it.
If I drown myself right now.
So I was like, well, there's an instructor right there and a nurse on the side that will be able to help me out if anything goes wrong. So I was like, here I go. So then I went, let out all my air, all of it. So I'm sinking to the bottom, just looking at the top, and I was looking at the instructor. I was like, I'm not getting back up from here, so you're going to have to get me. And so then sure enough, you've seen it in movies, TV shows, you do the big old, and then
ASMR right here. Do that one more time. Yeah.
And that's what happened. And then kind of just got tunnel vision. Everything went black. And the way that I woke up was honestly awful.
Really?
So obviously they're trying to save my life rather than worrying about.
You got another man in your mouth or something?
No. They're grabbing me by the collars of my shirt and dragging me out of the pool while my spine is scraping against the corner of the pool.
Yeah.
And so that's how I wake up. I wake up coughing up water while my spine is getting dragged across the cement corner of the pool because they're trying to drag me out in order to resuscitate me and everything like that. And so that's how I woke up. So I'm able to cough up all the water, and the instructors are like, all right, well, are you good? You want to go back in? And I was like, well, I'm not about to quit. Yeah. So I had just drowned, and they were like, all right, we'll give you 2 more minutes, catch your breath and everything like that, and you either go back in or you quit. I was like, I'm not quitting. Like, what are you talking about? Quit? That's not an option for me. And so I was like, all right, give me my 2 minutes. Yeah. 2 minutes later, I hop right back in the deep end. They tie my hands up and everything, and I'm back there at the bottom of the pool. Yeah. I was like, I still can't breathe. I just had water filling my lungs and everything like that. So sure enough, I'm at the bottom of the pool again. I look over at the instructor. I was like, I'm not getting back up from here. And so that time, it took me a couple minutes to wake back up from that one. And
wait, so it happened twice?
So in a matter of 10 minutes, I drowned twice. And the first time I woke up with my spine getting scraped against the side of the pool. And the second time I woke up with somebody pumping water out of my lungs and with an oxygen mask over my mouth and a little thing covering my finger trying to get my blood pressure and everything like that. So that was a pretty wild ride. And from there, I mean, I was drown proof now. Not scared of drowning. It's a pretty painless experience.
You willingly chose to drown twice in the span of 10 minutes.
I ain't no quitter. I ain't no quitter, man.
Oh god.
Yeah. So that happened. That was one of the craziest physical experiences that I went through. I mean, over the course of the next 3.5 years, I dislocated a shoulder. I have 2 herniated discs in my back. I tore some muscles and ligaments that are connected to my spine. I have like no cartilage left in my left knee. Sprained both my ankles. Got this weird cyst in my wrist. I don't know. Crazy bunch of stuff. Oh, I got diagnosed with traumatic brain injury too. So that was something crazy.
So that's a lot of what the Marines took out of you.
Yeah, physically.
Yeah. In like a few sentences or less, what would you say you got out of it probably mentally, all that stuff.
Mentally, I feel like it's tied with my spirituality too. My mental is. I feel like I can't be hurt anymore.
Yeah.
By really anything. I feel pretty invincible now because of the things that I went through. I just talked about one or a few things that happened to me physically. There was a lot of stuff that happened to me mentally. I got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I had major depression and anxiety adjustment disorder. There was a lot of things that were happening with me mentally while I was in. But I sought help just like for my back and my knees and everything. I got physical therapy.
Yeah.
For my mind and my spirit, I got some mental, like actual therapy too. So been going through it for the past few years, and so I feel like now I'm stronger than ever. As weak as my body may be because of the things that it went through, my mind is stronger than ever. And so when I say I can't get hurt, I just mean that mentally, spiritually, that's something that I definitely got out of it, is that I feel like I can't be broken again because everything was broken while I was in, and I lived with that brokenness for years. And so now my bones are healed, my spiritual bones, my mental muscles are healed, and I feel stronger than ever, so that anything that life may throw at me, any circumstances that I may go under in the future, nothing's going to hurt me. So
this is just what reminded me of all of that. Let me see if it plays.
We can play. I knew it, bro.
Okay. I don't want to get copyright, so that's all I'm playing. Okay. But yeah, that's that whole song is what your experience was.
Stronger, man.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
Sir.
That's dope. I think we'll end it there. That's a new sound effect for all you guys. Let's get it. Micah defeated drowning twice.
Yep.
Look the camera in the eyes. They haven't seen your eyes yet.
There
look at this man's beautiful eyes. For those of you that are watching on YouTube. Thank you, Micah. COVID fist bumps are a thing here.
Yes.
Until we're out of COVID, which who knows when that will be.
I don't know, man.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you would like, and you should, follow Micah on Instagram. Drop your Instagram handle real quick.
The Micah 68.
By the way, guys, this guy's middle name is literally 6'8". Just fun fact for you.
Yeah, got 4 names. Micah 68 Vargas. It's a Bible verse. Go look it up.
Read your Bible, guys. Thank you for listening again. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.